Welcome back, everyone. Today we are diving into a highly requested ultimate explainer of what is easily one of the best installments in the entire franchise. That's right, we're talking about Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. We're going to break down the core story, uncover some massive secrets hidden in the books, and of course, talk about that absolutely iconic Hindi dubbing that made our childhood so magical. Let's just jump right into it.
Nirastra Bhava, and who could forget Mayus Meena? Do these sound familiar? If you grew up watching Harry Potter dubbed on TV, these phrases are probably permanently burnt into your memory. Experiencing this Hollywood magical world with a purely local twist was just a completely different vibe, translating a spell like Expelliarmus into what sounds like an ancient blessing with Nirastra Bhava, or turning Moaning Myrtle into the perfectly dramatic Mayus Meena is pure nostalgia. It honestly still makes us smile just thinking about it.
Section 1. Funny Hindi dubbing. Okay, let's dive into this translation brilliance.
The creativity of the translators was totally unmatched. Take the terrifying, soul-sucking Dementors. They were translated to Dumpishok, which is just brilliant. And the Whomping Willow, this massive, violent, crushing tree, it got the incredibly literal and hilarious name Ladaku Pud, which basically translates to fighting tree. But what really hits the nail on the head is Voldemort. Calling him Honest Dave literally makes the Dark Lord sound like a sinister, destructive deity. You have to admit, that dubbing was genius.
Section 2, Azkaban's Prisoner, Story. Let's look at how this crazy third year at Hogwarts kicks off.
So the story starts off with an absolute bang. Harry is stuck at his aunt and uncle's house for the holidays, and Aunt Marge is mercilessly insulting his parents. Harry completely loses his temper, and boom, accidental magic happens. Aunt Marge inflates like a giant balloon and literally floats away. This forces Harry to run away, leading to a wild ride on the magical triple-decker night bus. And it's here that he and we first learn about the terrifying threat looming over everything, the escape of the most dangerous convict in Azkaban, Sirius Black.
Section 3. The Fear of Dementors. With Sirius Black on the loose, Hogwarts gets some seriously dark security. Enter the Dementors, or the Dumpishok. These are the terrifying guards of Azkaban prison, sent to Hogwarts to hunt down Sirius Black. But they are so monstrous that they literally feed on human happiness. Remember that incredibly chilling scene when they board the Hogwarts Express? The train stops cold, everything freezes over, and Harry is forced to hear the agonizing screams of his own parents. Thank goodness for the new Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher, Professor Lupin, who steps in right on time to save the day.
And this brilliantly illustrates how you actually fight back against that kind of darkness. Professor Lupin teaches Harry a highly advanced defensive spell, the Patronus Charm, or Peter Dave Sunrakshanam. The trick here is that you have to intensely focus on a singular, incredibly happy memory, say the incantation, and channel all that positive energy out through your wand. It's way more than just a magic trick, it's a literal weaponization of hope against fear.
Section 4. The Biggest Secret. Things get completely turned upside down once we reach the Shrieking Shack.
So here is the massive plot twist. Sirius Black was never the villain. For the entire story, we're led to believe he wants to murder Harry. But it turns out he's actually Harry's completely innocent godfather. The person who really betrayed Harry's parents 12 years ago was another friend, Peter Pettigrew. And the absolute craziest part? The real traitor, Peter Pettigrew, had been hiding in plain sight as Ron's pet rat Scabbers for 12 whole years. Absolutely mind-blowing.
What follows is arguably one of the best time travel sequences in cinematic history. Using Hermione's time turner, Harry and Hermione go back in time. They manage to save the magical creature Buckbeak from execution and then wait out of sight by the lake. This is where Harry has that incredible, awestruck realization that it wasn't his father who saved him from the Dementors earlier, he saved himself by casting that immensely powerful Patronus. Finally, they fly up to the tower and rescue Sirius.
So, happily ever after, right? The story ends there? No way! If you've only ever watched the movies, you might think you know the whole story, but trust me, the film actually hid some massive, absolutely crucial secrets from us. Let's take a look at what you missed. Section 5. Book versus movie. Now, what's really interesting about this next part is just how much rich lore the movies decided to completely cut out.
Let's start literally with the opening scene. The book and the movie totally contradict each other here. In the movie, Harry is practicing the Lumos Maxima spell under his bedsheets with his wand. But in the book, he's just doing his homework using a regular non-magical flashlight.
Why? Because using magic outside of school when you were underage is strictly illegal. It's super illogical for him to be doing magic in the movie's opening scene, especially considering breaking that exact rule is why he panics so much when he accidentally inflates Aunt Marge later on.
Now, this is probably the biggest cinematic crime of the entire adaptation. The movie relies heavily on the magical Marauders map, right? But did they ever bother to explain who Moony, Wormtail, Padfoot, and Prongs actually are? Nope. In the book, there's this deeply emotional backstory. Those four were Harry's dad, James Potter, and his best friends. When they found out Lupin, who was Moony, was a werewolf, they secretly and illegally learned how to turn into animals, animagi, just so he wouldn't have to be alone during his transformations. It is a massive piece of backstory that the movie just completely ignored.
Then there's the whole firebolt broomstick situation. The movie literally ends on a freeze frame of Harry flying off on this ultra-fast broom he gets from Sirius at the very end of the year. But in the book, he gets the anonymous firebolt right in the middle of the story, around Christmas. Because it had no name on it, Hermione actually suspects it's a cursed trap from Sirius Black and reports it to Professor McGonagall. The broom gets confiscated, and it causes months of massive drama and fighting between Ron, Harry, and Hermione.
But, even though the movie skipped some major plot points, it absolutely nailed the emotional core of the story. Sirius Black tells Harry, "The ones who love us never really leave us. You can always find them in here." That's the heart of the whole narrative. Harry had spent his whole life searching for a family, and in Sirius, he finally found that true father figure.
So that brings us to the end of our ultimate explainer. Now I have to ask you, after learning all these hidden details, which version do you think is actually better, the book or the movie? And honestly, more importantly, are you Team Expelliarmus or Team Nirastrabava? Let us know what you think. Until next time, mischief managed.